Hey Tina, I'm going to try and answer questions, but I can't seem to make Illustrator do what it sounds like you're having problems with. So, um, to start with, I have this text that I've used transform on the warp. Remember, object, envelope distort, uh, make with warp, or well, there we'll release it. Get rid of that. So here's the text, and originally I used the little button that you have with the text tool, but in this case I'm going to go Object, Envelope Distort, Make with Warp, and I'll move it up some and preview it. Yeah, that's about what I want. Move it down here. And this, even though it looks like text, is actually just anchor points. So now I'm going to use Transform, which is under Object Transform, and I'm going to scale it. One thing that I think might be causing you some problems, make sure that you check Scale, Strokes, and Effects, because if you have some sort of outline or something, that could be causing the problem. And let's make it uniform. Let's make it 25%. And click Preview and see it. For me, it's doing it just fine, so I'm not sure what's going on for you. But I'm going to give you another option. I want you to make sure that the first thing is make sure that you have that Scale Effects option selected. It does exist also in the Transform dialog box if you get it off a link. The other thing that I think might be an issue is that this is a warp, so if we expand it, we use this expand option and click OK. Now the warp is that way. It no longer, we can't undo this, I mean only with the edit undo, but when we had the warp, we could change the distortion, we could tweak it, and it was still an editable item. Once I use Object Expand, this becomes the shape. No longer do I have a mesh or a warp. This is just, it is what it is. So the other idea I had for you would be to take your Sarah McLachlan and expand it, use that Object Expand, because I think then you may not have the issues with transforming. Also, make sure that your height and width are proportional, and I would set your reference point to the center when you're doing this. Oops, that was way too big. Wrong direction. And then we'll do 0.5. See, and it all stays together nicely. So I'm not sure, like I said, I can't get it to do what it's doing for you, so I don't know. Whoops, didn't mean to do that big. 100 inches? No, how about 3 inches maybe? So I'm not sure what it's doing for you. If you want, you can upload the file for me and I'll try it on my end and see if it's doing something weird. But honestly, I don't know. So there's that problem in Illustrator. Then the other thing you and I had talked about was how to cleanly composite in Photoshop. And I'm just going to give you a quick set of tricks. One thing I like to do when I'm working with an image, in this case I grabbed this statue because it had a similar shape, and this picture of the sunset. One of the things I like to do is set my top layer object to multiply, because this allows me to see both images concurrently. I'm not going to leave it that way, but this just lets me see what I'm going for and see it quickly. So I'm going to put a layer mask on the sun layer, and originally you had some, so we'll quick fake it till you make it, right? Get this out of the way so that we have a facsimile of where you're at. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and set this back to normal. So there's our picture of the sun that we need. Actually, that's a terrible picture because it's way too much the same color as the sky, but oh well. We'll get the basic idea. And so the first thing I'm going to do is use my pen tool and come right along this forearm. And again, I don't try and get real precise to start with, because for me I just find it's easier to get it close and then I'll go move them as I need to. And I'm going to make this really big because I really am just interested in the line as much as anything. And then I'll make a selection with my path. I can do that by holding down the command key and clicking on the thumbnail, or using this selection tool at the bottom, the one that looks like little dots in a circle. I'm going to go back to the layer mask, turn that layer on so I can see what I'm doing. And then in this case, because I want to clean up the area on the outside, I'm going to use select inverse. So now notice I have marching ants on the edges and here as well. Grab my paintbrush, make sure I'm on the layer mask. And at this point it doesn't matter how big this paintbrush is because it will only paint outside of that selection. Then if I wanted to say put something back in, or let's say this selection's not totally right because I missed that whole little, I was way far away there. I'm just going to grab the lasso tool, and I like the polygonal lasso better than any of the other ones, I guess. I'm going to hold down the shift key so I get a little plus sign, and then I can add to this selection area. Once I've got the plus sign and I've started my path, I can let go of the shift key, because if I don't, I'm just going to get straight lines on 45-degree angles, which is sometimes frustrating. So just quick add that. Oops, wrong way. Wrong one. Okay, so I wanted to subtract that actually. So I'm going to grab the option, gives me the subtract. Click, and now I can let go of the option key. Get in there real quick. And again, because this is the polygonal lasso tool, it's only going to give me straight lines, but it also means that I don't have to click and drag. I can just click points. Sometimes that's a-okay. So now I have that nice edge. Again, I'm just going to get my paintbrush tool. Notice how big my paintbrush tool is. Right now it's huge. Just click. Make sure I'm in the right spot. View, fit on screen. Oh, I have black. Black's not going to do me any good. I want white. Oops, why is it? Okay. So I'm still on the wrong spot. So we're going to inverse it now. And now, if I paint right with white there, fills right in. So again, the trick with that is use your pen tool and set your path. And the reason I like the pen tool for this is I feel like I have way more control with where the line is. Sure, I could do it kind of guessing, but for me I like to really know right where that line is going to be. Make the path, convert the path into a selection, and the paint, in this case I'm on the layer mask, the only part that will be affected, I can paint out here all I want. It's not going to do anything. The only spots that will be altered are within that selection. Hope that helps. See you in class. Have a great weekend.